I have been admitted to a prestigious master's degree program in Europe, but my girlfriend is asking me to reject this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. My girlfriend, 25 female, and I, 26 male, have been dating for 3 years now, and we really love each other. We have met and began dating during our college graduation year in 2020. I had always planned to pursue a degree abroad after graduation, but my girlfriend says no to long-distance relationships. For context, my girlfriend and I are from a poor country and life here is hard. Our degree doesn't have that much weight on the international job market. Today, we are both working full-time jobs, but none of us are happy with our life here in our home country. We are very underpaid. She is an internal auditor for a big international cigarette company, but gets paid around $250 a month, and I get pretty much the same salary for being a consultant in a boutique firm. We are both unhappy of our current situation. That's why I want to go study abroad to be able to access better opportunities. My girlfriend is a very lonely person with almost no close friends, and most of the time she feels depressed when left alone. When I first introduced my plan of going abroad 1 year after our graduation, she was totally opposed to going into a long-distance relationship. She believes I am the only one that can make her happy and be able to bear living. In addition, going abroad to study had never been part of her plans. Although she complained all the time about our living conditions, it seems to me that she was fine with it. She has always believed that there has to be other ways to improve our living conditions without leaving our home country. Years went by, and last year we finally agreed that we would do our best to find international study opportunities abroad. Either we succeed together or one succeeds this year and the other has to make everything to join the other person next year. Unfortunately, I was the one who got accepted into a prestigious university in Europe while she didn't manage to get a single admission offer. Although we have already agreed on what we would do in such a situation, she is now asking me to stay with her and reject my admission offer. In her own words, "I wasn't serious when I agreed to that. I thought you would love me enough to stay with me. Let's just break up. I'll return to my miserable, lonely life and perhaps put an end to my life. Please reject your admission offer and let's try again together next year." Although I love her, I believe if I refuse my admission offer, I will regret it for the rest of my life. I was lucky enough to get this offer, but right now I don't know what to do. Any advice?
My fiance said he's glad that my ex-husband died. Story time. For some context, I have 2 children with my ex-husband, Steve. Steve passed away a fair few years ago, actually, and I won't go into too much of the specifics of it all. Steve really was the love of my life, and to say that his passing hit all of my family really hard would be the world's biggest understatement. So 3 years after Steve's passing, I met this amazing man. We'll call him Alan. Welcome Alan back to the chat, everyone. Not seen you in a while, Alan. So me and Alan have now been engaged for about a year. At the start of our relationship, Alan was a little bit insecure about the fact that I was a widow. Would constantly ask if Steve had never died, would I still be with him? I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting very confused with all these names. And obviously this made me feel very, very uncomfortable, so I kept my answers very brief. Eventually, he did stop making these comments. I think he just kind of got a bit more comfortable and I stopped worrying about it. Now on to the issue. We went round to my mum and dad's house the other day to celebrate. We'd booked our wedding venue. At this party, there was my mum and dad, Steve's sister and brother, my 2 children, and Alan. Did you get that? Dinner was really, really lovely. We talked about all of our wedding plans so far. We were all getting on. And this was actually the first time that Alan had met Steve's brother and sister. About halfway through the dinner, my mum made a comment about how she was so glad I'd managed to find the spark with someone after Steve's passing. And nobody really paid any attention to this comment. No one, commented back or anything. But then Alan just replied back and said, "I'm glad she died. Otherwise, I would never have had you to myself." So the tone of the dinner after that immediately shifted. It was so awkward. So I don't know what is in these YSL bronzers, but they literally blur. Is that even possible? The vibe after that was extremely tense, especially from my kids' point of view. I think at that point, Alan noticed how off the cuff his comment had been and he just started awkwardly laughing. He was trying to play off his comment as a joke, which made it even worse. Alan, just stop talking, please. Everyone was looking at me. I was looking at them. I just felt absolutely frozen. I literally could not even bring myself to say anything. My kids looked absolutely disgusted and my eldest got up and walked off. So to cut a very, very long story short, the dinner was just absolutely ruined after that. My kids haven't spoke to Alan for 3 days. So it's safe to say it was incredibly awkward in our house for a very long time afterwards. So what do you think I should do? Should I call off the engagement? Should I just speak to Alan about how inappropriate it was? I don't know what to do.
Did anybody else have a crystal girl phase back in like 2020, 2021? Because I sure did. Like when I heard about Peka putting the rose quartz in that man's car, I was like, okay, this bitch is onto something. I just remember searching up rose quartz and what it was, and I remember falling into a rabbit hole. And honestly, I think we all did.
We all say true. Yeah,
I'm not joking, by the way. These are just some of the many I have. I was the bitch who would walk around with rose quartz and amethyst on her neck every single day. And bitch, if my chain broke, okay, then it's going in my pocket. And bitch, if I didn't have pockets, then it's going in my titties. Bitch, I kept that shit on me. And you know, once you start to learn about crystals, you start to learn about manifestation. And bitch, manifest I did. I just want to be real transparent when I say that I got into this stuff back when I was at probably the lowest point in my life. I don't really believe in this stuff anymore. I think I just kind of fell into the rabbit hole because I've never been religious and I was just kind of looking for something to give me hope. The crystals and manifestation is what was working for me at the time. And bitch, I was manifesting everything. Luxuries, riches, a better life for my family. The main thing I was manifesting was boys, okay? And every motherfucker I manifested, I got. Words cannot describe how powerful I felt. This was my world and y'all were just living in it. But bitch, I was manifesting calls, I was manifesting texts, and it would work every time. But eventually my manifestation stopped working and everything started going to shit with these men, and I'm like, what the fuck? Honestly, just everything in general that I was manifesting started going to shit. At that point, that was when I started to realize these men were only flocking to me because they realized how much of a vulnerable state I was in and that they can use and manipulate me to as much of their extent that they wanted. And everything else that was going to shit for me, I realized is because I got lazy, and instead of chasing after what I wanted, I was attracting it. No, bitch, you gotta work for what you want or you're not gonna fucking get it, duh. Unless you're like a nepo baby, then like congrats, you know, but the rest of us, we gotta work for what we want. Since then, I've had a lot more going for me. And that's all me, bitch. I'm really that bitch without these crystals. I'm in a better place in life, I'm in a better mindset, my mental health is better. Everything lately has just been better.
Did I just get back from a 7-day Carnival cruise? Yes, I did. Did I almost spend 3 days of that Carnival cruise locked in the belly of the ship in what I now know is referred to as cruise jail because a B-word who topped out at about 5'3" in heels wouldn't stop talking shit to my 67-year-old mother? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Let me tell you the story. This is my 4th cruise, okay? I'm a cruise queen. Every cruise I go on with my mother. It's kind of our thing, all right? My mom's name is Cindy. I call her Sherb. She's an angel among us. She's my best friend. I love her so much. What's our favorite thing to do on these Carnival cruises? We go to the piano bar. If you're unfamiliar, there's a grand piano in the center of the room, a bar that wraps around it, go figure, stools around that, tables and chairs behind that. It's kind of a karaoke stand-up comedy situation, okay? The performer at this particular piano bar had one of the most amazing voices I've ever heard, truly. He was tickling the ivories. He was tickling our souls. He was phenomenal, okay? My mom and I, every night he's playing, post up on these stools, throw 20s, make requests, have drinks. It was a grand time. We're all piano bar besties until the 3rd night when a little tiny woman scuttles her way in, hops up on the open stool right next to me, lucky me, and she won't shut the fuck up. Truly. She talked the entire time, bro. She's yelling across the bar. She had tiny little vocal cords, too. Sounded like she had a Polly Pocket stuck in her throat. She's yelling at the performer. She's a distraction. She's rude. This girl down the way requested a specific ballad. The performer starts to play it. She goes, boo, boring. She pretends to fall asleep. Terrible actress. She'd never make it in Hollywood. She was a terror, truly. And then halfway through the set, the performer, he says, I'm going to do one more song before I take a break. I'll do Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You. Stunning. Phenomenal. He starts playing it. It's so moving. He's so good. She talks the entire time. And I just about had it. Okay? Maybe it was the Pinot Grigio, but I don't think it was. I think it was the annoyance. She's talking. He gets to the key change. He makes a big show of stopping. Everyone, a hush falls over the crowd, except for her. He fake cracks his knuckles. He fake cracks his neck. He wants everyone to be quiet. He's kind of glancing at her. She's still talking. She's not getting the hint. So we're all going, woo, woo, woohoo, building him up, okay, getting ready for this big musical moment. And I go, woohoo. I was a little passive aggressive. I said, woo, everyone's listening. No one's talking. Oops. My bad. Sorry. She hears me say that. She whips her head around. She gets quiet. I say, wow, I have powers. He finishes the song. It's phenomenal. We're all moved. He gets up. He goes into the back. I look at my mom. I go, oh, this is so fun. I'm going to go to the restroom. When all of a sudden I hear this tiny Polly Pocket behind me go, this bitch is being so rude. She told me to shut the fuck up. I go, me bitch? Who bitch? One bitch, two bitch. I look at my mom and go, oh, she's mad. My mom says, really? I said, yeah, she's being really mean. She's just talking about us. My mom, she goes, just ignore her, Teresa. She's just being rude. One thing about my mom, she's not great at volume control, okay? She's an angel, but she doesn't know much about noise levels. Anyway, this girl hears my mother call her rude. She whips around. She goes, oh, I think you're the rude one, bitch, to my 67-year-old mother. What did we say? Every good thought, every good intention I've ever had left my body, flew away into the ocean. My spine straightened. I hopped down off my stool. I'm wearing high heels at this point. I'm probably about 5'8", 5'9". I looked down at her. I said, what did you say? She goes, you heard me. I said, yeah, I want to hear you say it again. She goes, well, you guys are being really disrespectful. I said, that's so crazy, because I think everyone in this bar knows that you're being disrespectful to me, to that girl, that guy, that performer, and most importantly, to my mom. So say it again. She's looking up at me with little bug eyes. I said, you've been talking the whole time. You're going to stop now? I said, let's go outside. Never in my life have I been in a physical fight, okay? But I felt like at this moment, every Soul Cycle class, every Barry's boot camp, every solid core yoga class that I've taken has prepared me to throw a bitch into the Gulf of Mexico. She was wearing pigtails, for crying out loud. She's begging for someone to do this to her. She finally gets quiet. I go, okay, I'm going to go to the restroom. You can talk shit to me when I get back. But you're not going to look at my mother. You're not going to speak to my mother. Is that understood? She just looks down at her phone. I say, good. I go to the restroom. I pee out my rage. I come back in. She's gone. My mom said, oh, she left. I said, good. Good. The night goes on. Everything's fine. I'm not in Carnival jail. Okay? Thank God. On the last night of the cruise, I'm walking the hallway with my mom. We're talking, laughing, when all of a sudden I hear the sounds of vomit leaving someone's body. I look over. We're in the hallway. There's a tiny woman crouched over a Carnival Cruise trash can, yakking. Yakking and yapping. Guess who it was? Polly Pocket herself. She looks up at me. She's got vomit trailing down her chin. I go, oof, one too many Vegas bombs, huh? Defeat settles over her face. I go, actually, I reach into my purse. I pull out a little Pepto-Bismol tablet. I go, I have just the thing. Take it. I chew it up, swallow it. Thanks for reminding me, because I get motion sick too. Have a good night. I don't like who I become on Carnival cruises, actually.
So about 2 weeks ago, this person slid into my DM and they said, hey, I'm going to New York Fashion Week. These are the shows that I'm attending. I've been watching your brand for a while. I love your bags. I would love to wear one. To which I said, I don't work with influencers. Now that is a personal choice that I have made as a business owner. I choose to not work with influencers and content creators because I find for Karika, it to be stressful. Like, I don't like chasing people down, begging you to give me the content that you promised me or that I paid for. It's just too much. And until my brand is at a level that I can actually hire a full-on marketing team and I'm the one taking care of it, I don't want to deal with it. Now, I don't need to explain myself to this person because this is my business, but I told her, I said, I don't work with influencers at the moment, but I will keep your information on file in the event that things change in the future. I love your content. It's absolutely beautiful, and I hope you have a great time at New York Fashion Week. That is what you call a professional response. She doesn't say anything back to me. That's fine. She's got 1 million some odd followers. Good for you, babe. Like, live your best life, right? This morning I wake up, I had 30 some messages from one person and I was like, that's weird. What is that? I open it up and it's just photo after photo after photo. And at the very bottom, she goes, this could have been you and your brand, but you think that you're too good for people. That's why you will never be as big as Brandon Blackwood or Telfar. Nobody will ever know who you are. And your bags aren't even all that great. My response was, I'm so glad you had great coverage while you were attending New York Fashion Week. I'm wishing you the best of luck. Your images look great. Have a good Sunday! Explanation point. You know when you're walking down the street and this guy's like, yo, 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 and then you don't acknowledge him because you ugly anyway. That's what this shit reminds me of. Well, let me be ugly because I don't give a flying about your opinion of me and my brand or my business and the decisions that I choose to make. That is so disrespectful. And that sounds like an issue that you need to work out with you and yourself, because I'm good over here. Okay. I am not Telfar. I am not Brandon Blackwood. I'm Karika, and I'm always going to be me. And I'm going to stand 10 toes down on every decision that I make. I don't give up about you. You are a non-motherfucking factor for me. I really don't care. And that right there is why I don't work with influencers, because you people do shit like that. Don't get cute with me, all right? Really don't get cute with me. You just got invited to a seat at the table, all right? I've been playing that game for a long time. It's unnecessary for you to act that way. Humility, kindness, being polite will take you so much further than being rude and disrespectful. I very easily could have read that little girl like a book, but I made a decision not to because A, it's a waste of my time, and B, tearing somebody else down never, ever builds you up. It doesn't. So live your best life, continue to create the content that you do, and I'm going to continue to run my business and my brand the way that I do. And with that being said, the Elizabeth bag in the pleated leather is in stock, and I would appreciate the support.
This was honestly the worst experience of my entire life, but I think enough time has passed where I can actually just talk about it. I was in Times Square with my cousin. We get a message, or she gets a message on one of her apps that tells her like where celebrities are. But Taylor's in town, and she's at McDonald's. We're in Times Square. She's at the McDonald's in Times Square, so obviously we would run over there to try and see her, see what's going on. And there's a line formed around the back of this McDonald's. We break our way in, basically. This guy guarding the back door. People are walking in wearing very specific t-shirts that we do not have, mind you. They're like the McDonald's logo, but it has like the T for Taylor on them. And we show up and we're like, hey, like, do you think we can get in? And the guy's like, no t-shirt, no entry. We bribe him. If you got money, you can probably make it into any event. So we give him a little bit of money. He's like, yeah, going. So we make it in there, and somebody with like headset, monitor, whatever, he goes, hey, where are you guys' t-shirts? Oh, we don't have them yet. He sends us over to a table where there's all these t-shirts in different colors, gives us ours, and tells us to go wait by the people in the dining room. There's people in the dining room, there's people in the kitchen. Taylor's in the kitchen. You can see through the walls that she's there. She's back there, and she's filming something right now. So we're basically waiting our turn. And we're waiting our turn, and we're waiting, and everyone's excited in there, right? But after a whole day of filming, we still haven't even got into the dining room portion. This is like a 10-hour shoot day. We're tired. We're still standing out there. We're waiting just to meet Taylor. She comes out. We filmed the dining room portion that literally, mind you, takes like 15 minutes. We waited the entire day for 15 minutes of filming. It was like the last thing they needed to do, just the people out there to have their reaction to her coming out of the kitchen. I don't know what this was for, what promotion or song or music video that's going to be, or if it's ever going to come out. But she does that, and then she goes back to her like area with her team, takes her, and we're like, dude, we waited this entire day. We saw her for like 5 seconds. We barely got a film, and we thought we were going to get like maybe an autograph, maybe a picture taken or whatever. And so we're a little bit defeated, and everyone gets packing up, and some lady comes around the edge of the door, and she goes, hey, Taylor's about to come back through to like greet everybody. Just make sure you stick around. We're like, oh, cool. That's really sweet of her. She comes back out and takes another like an hour and a half out of her day after an entire day of shooting, shaking our hands. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Taking photos with everybody, signing autographs. She signed literally anything somebody handed her, she signed. She's like, thank you guys so much for coming out. Like, I'm going to give you like an extra bit of money for like staying so long in the shoot day, whatever. So just get in contact with our team. So we get in contact with their team, and they're basically like, gift card for here, gift card for this, thank you for this, signed letter for this, signed envelope. I'm like, I thought going into this that I would never sit here and say to myself like, wow, I'm a Taylor Swift fan. But I'm a Taylor Swift fan. That was like the nicest thing I've seen a celebrity take time out of their day. She has such a busy schedule. Take all that time out of her day to talk to us, to shake her hands, to sign things. Amazing. And now I'm seeing all the things she's doing with like the Chiefs and all this, and it's just like, you can only hate for so long until you turn around and become a fan. So that's how that became the worst day of my life, because I went from a hater to a fan. And now I'm waiting for this new album to drop. And I cannot wait.
Am I the astronaut for punching my sister at a family barbecue? Trigger warning, child loss. I, 32 female, have a sister, 26 female, and we have never gotten along. Even when we were kids, we would fight like cats and dogs on the best of days. My sister is a spoiled, entitled brat, and always has been, because my parents have always given her everything she's ever asked for. She has never had to work for anything, nor was she expected to follow the same rules as me when we were growing up. My mother almost died giving birth to her, and because of this, she has been their miracle child. I've been in therapy for years, working through the resentment I had for her, and I've come a long way. I have even tried to reach out to her through calls and texts to try and repair our relationship several times, but all of the attempts have been ignored. A couple of important things to know before I get into the story. My husband and I had our first child almost 3 years ago after 5 years of trying and 3 miscarriages. He is my parents' first grandchild. He is the light of our lives, and my parents adore him and spoil him rotten while still respecting our boundaries. Also important to know is that our son is nonverbal autistic. My sister and brother-in-law have never met my son. My sister and brother-in-law, 26 male, have no children. My brother-in-law is in the Navy, and they have been moved all over the country. During the pandemic, they were stationed in Hawaii and therefore unable to travel home for the full 4 years that they were stationed there. I have a great relationship with my brother-in-law, and I'm a lot closer to him than I am to my sister. My husband and I live in the same city as my parents, and most of our family lives a short drive away. Now on to the crazy. My sister and brother-in-law recently got new orders from the Navy that they were going to be stationed back on the mainland, though it was still across the country from where our family lives. They decided to come home to visit before they relocated since they haven't seen family in such a long time. My parents decided to throw a big family cookout so that all the family could come together to get to see them before they moved across the country again. I didn't really want to go, but I knew it was important to my parents, so I decided to go anyway. My husband had to work, so I took my son and went to the party. Our whole extended family was there, as well as my brother-in-law's immediate family. Everything was going great for the first hour we were there, but things started to go downhill when my sister came in drinking a Red Bull. She set it down on the coffee table in the living room without even thinking about it. My dad saw this and mentioned that she might want to move her drink because there were small children running around and it could get knocked over. She said she would, but never did. A little bit later, my son came running in, saw the shiny can on the table, and reached for it. He ended up dumping the whole can on the floor. My sister was pissed that her drink had been wasted. She looked at me and said that I should clean up after my kid, but I replied, "Dad told you it would get knocked over. You should have moved it." My dad made my sister clean up the mess, which pissed her off even more. After that, she kept quietly making derogatory comments about my son to other family members, thinking I couldn't hear them. I let the first few go, but after she called my son the R word to one of our cousins, I'd had enough. I confronted her and told her that if she had something to say about me or my son, she could man up and say it to my face. She did get in my face and began screaming and cussing at me, saying that she wasn't surprised that my child turned out special and that it was a good thing that my first 3 kids died because I would have screwed them up too. I completely lost my shit. I don't think she was expecting me to retaliate because I punched her right in the face and she went down hard. I'm not a violent person at all, but I do have my limits and I am fiercely protective of my son. My dad and 2 of my cousins stepped in and broke us up. My mom dragged my sister into another room and began screaming at her for saying such horrible things about my son. I went outside with my cousins to cool off, and while talking to them, my brother-in-law came out to apologize on behalf of my sister. I told him I appreciated it, but that I didn't want an apology from him, only one from my sister. He mentioned that he thought my sister might be jealous of my son because he is the only grandchild, and now there has been a shift in the dynamic between her and my parents. Because she's not the baby anymore. That made perfect sense to me. With them doting on my son constantly, there was no room for them to spoil her. I took my son home shortly after all of this occurred. About an hour after I got home, I started getting texts from 2 of my aunts as well as from my mom saying that I was an asshole for punching my sister and that I completely overreacted. My aunt insisted that I apologize to my sister for punching her. When I told her I would not be apologizing, she said I should be ashamed because I ruined the party for everyone. Now I'm starting to wonder if I did overreact by hitting her. I don't see why I should have to apologize when she was the one who said such horrible things to me in front of our whole family. Honestly, I don't care if I ever see my sister again, though I would miss my brother-in-law. I do feel bad for ruining my parents' party that they worked so hard on. Am I the astronaut for punching my sister and refusing to apologize?
First of all, can we have a moment for the ring, because this ring is the ring of my dreams, okay? Literally when I saw it, my jaw just dropped because I was like, what in the world? Jesse did so good. Today is Sunday and Jesse proposed on Monday. We actually didn't post anything about it for like 5 days. I think we posted it on Friday because Jesse was working on his video, which was like a really great video. It literally brings tears to my eyes every time I watch it. It's really nice, honestly, to have like the proposal to ourselves and kind of just like soak it all in, because it really took me like a few days to process like the fact that I'm actually a fiance. I'm getting married. Like, that's crazy. The day of the proposal, I was actually vlogging for my YouTube channel, which is so funny. And honestly, I'm so glad that I was, because I'm able to look back and like see what I was doing all day and like remember where my mind was at, because I had a feeling like after a few things had happened, I was like, okay, either I'm like delusional and I'm making this up in my head, or today is the day that Jesse's gonna propose. I did know that it was coming soon because that's something we talked about a lot. I feel like it was very important for us to be obviously on the same page and both know that we were like ready for that step in our relationship. So I am really good at reading the people that are close to me. I feel like I can read Jesse like a book. So when he was doing things that were like slightly off, I was like, Did also know that he had a ring, or that he had gotten a ring. I had no idea what it looked like. But he did know what I wanted because I have a whole Pinterest board that I've had for years of different rings that I've wanted over the years. And then I finally like decided I wanted this one, something really classic and simple but stunning. He handled all of that and he did literally a perfect job. I honestly couldn't have wanted anything different. Like, this is my dream ring. It's stunning, it's perfect, and I feel like it's timeless. One day that I knew he went to get the ring was because he had told me he was doing something. He was like picking up something from my brother's house. I was making dinner and he was gone for like 3 hours. So I was like, what is he doing? Like, I always check to make sure he's okay. We have each other's location. I just get nervous to like something happen. I don't know, like if he an accident, God forbid. I had checked and I saw that he was like downtown, which is where the ring place was that he got it from. I was like, oh, and I felt bad because I didn't mean to look and find out, but that's just me. I can't help myself. It was fine, but he did end up telling me that he went and got it. So I knew it was happening soon. The thing about Jesse and I's relationship is that we communicate so much. Like, we literally tell each other everything, every thought that's on our mind, which I feel like is why we have such like a good, healthy relationship. This was really hard for Jesse to keep from me, or like keep a secret. He did the best he could. Day of came, and one thing that threw me off was that we filmed for Walsh World, which is my sibling and I's YouTube channel that we do with my mom as well. And they had rescheduled it for a Monday, and they like pushed the time back too. Everybody was free, so I didn't understand why the time was getting pushed back. I got to my brother's early and I was just like hanging out there, and I was like, I definitely could have filmed this on time. So I had a dentist appointment that day, and Jesse had asked me like, oh, are you gonna be in pain after? Like, are you gonna be okay? And I was like, why is he asking me that? Like, I was just getting a filling. I've gone to the dentist before for fillings, and he's just never questioned if I'm gonna be in pain after, but he was worried that I'd be in pain and I like wouldn't want to be proposed to. I don't know. He also did keep saying like, make sure your nails are done. Like, he was kind of joking around, but also like, I knew he was serious because I knew he had the ring. I kept going back and forth and changing my mind, and then finally I got them done French, and I'm actually so glad I did because I feel like it's very like timeless. Like, my little suspicions on the day of, but my sister asked me to go to Target and do like Valentine's Day shopping, and we filmed it for a TikTok, so you can watch that. It's on my TikTok. I didn't really think anything of it because that's like something we do together a lot, and I was like, okay, why would I be going to Target if like today was the day? And also like, it's a Monday, it's kind of like a random day. I feel like he wouldn't do it. Maybe he's doing it on Valentine's Day, which was Wednesday. We were in Target. My sister was acting completely normal, honestly. Like, she played it off really well. She did want to leave Target only after like 30 minutes of being there, which normally me and her can spend like an hour and a half in there together. And I was like, since when does she not want to be in Target? And she also wanted me to take photos of her at my house, like cute Valentine's Day photos, outside in our woods, but it was raining and our woods are literally like dead. I know Kennedy, she likes taking photos when everything's like bloomed and beautiful, so I was just like, why on earth does she want to take pictures right now? Get home and I'm like, okay, if I see any cars in the driveway or if I see anything out back, because I had a feeling he was going to propose in our woods, because I had told him long ago that I would just love something very private, very ours, like not in public, not with a bunch of people watching. Also mentioned it being like in our woods because I thought it would just be really special to people to look back like in our backyard and be like, that's where you did it. I had a feeling if it was gonna happen, that would probably be where he was gonna do it. And I pulled into our neighborhood and I could see from driving in, I was like, oh, there's nothing back there and there's no one in our driveway. Like, none of our family's here or anything. So I guess I was wrong and I kind of like made this up in my head. At this point, I'd been gone for like 4 hours from the house, almost 5 hours maybe, and Jesse like had not texted me or reached out. I told him I was on my way home, which also is not normal. Like, he normally will just text me to check in and make sure like I'm okay and when I'm gonna be home, and he just didn't all day. And I was like, he doesn't know like what I'm doing all day. Why didn't he ask? Park in the garage in my normal spot, and Kennedy gets out of her car immediately and was like, let's go take photos. Like, all right, let me go get my digital camera because maybe the flash will make it look cute. And she's like looking down at her phone like, it could be cool. And I know my sister, she knows, and I know that the photos would not be cute on a rainy, dark day in the woods while it's raining on an iPhone. Like, okay, why is she being like this? And I was like, let me go inside and put my stuff down. I was walking in to put my stuff down and she was like, Claudia! I turned around, I was like, what? And she was like, come take pictures with me, and her eyes started tearing up. That is when I knew it was happening, because obviously she got tears in her eyes and she was very persistent about me going out to take these photos. I was like, oh. Put all my stuff down, and the minute I walked out into our yard, I could see Jessie through the trees standing with this cute little setup with flowers. That is the moment when I knew it was about to happen. It was so sweet because my sister walked down with me and she had tears in her eyes the whole time. It was adorable. And then you guys see from that point on when I got into the woods and I was walking up to Jessie. So cute, because I could tell he was nervous. So the first thing I said to him, which I think was in the video, I said, "Are you nervous?" And he said, "Yeah." Honestly, so perfect in every way. In the moment, it felt like I was in a dream, like I was trying so hard to absorb what was happening in front of me. It was literally perfect, and I'm so glad that we have the whole memory on camera. Everyone in our family was inside our house after that, and we all celebrated together, had some champagne and cupcakes, and it was perfect. It was